All right, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
This meeting will be conducted entirely via video conferencing. The public may view and listen to the meeting at the following live stream URL, www.metrotech.edu/mtc-live. If for some reason we're disconnected this evening, we'll take a 15-minute recess to get reconnected. If we can't get reconnected, then we'll adjourn and we'll call a meeting for another date. All that said, call the meeting to order, and let's go ahead and call the roll, John.
Miss Sarah McKinney,
Here.
Dr. Teray,
Here.
Campos, Miss Campos,
Here.
Miss Richards,
Here.
Mr. Latham,
Here.
Mr. Jimmy McKinney, and Mr. Perry,
Here.
all present.
All right, it appears we have a quorum. At this point, I'll turn it over to Superintendent Collins for the election of board officers.
Thank you, Mr. Latham. If we could at this time, Ms. Campos, the chair of the nominating committee, if you would please present the committee's recommendations for the 2020-21 officers.
Absolutely. We are recommending Mr. Matt Latham for president, Ms. Sarah McKinney, vice president, and Ms. Elizabeth Richards for board clerk.
Thank you. Just as a reminder, I'm about to go over the policies through that follow BP 2006 for board organizational meeting. And so remember, I will be asking these questions 3 times. At this time, I would like to ask if there are other nominations. Are there any other nominations for board president? Are there any other nominations for board president? Are there any other nominations for board president? Are there any other nominations for vice president? Are there any other nominations for vice president? Are there any other nominations for vice president? Are there any other nominations for board clerk? Are there any other nominations for board clerk? Are there any other nominations for board clerk? Hearing none, do I have a motion to elect 2020-2021 board officers as recommended by the nominating committee?
So moved. Second.
After motion and second, Ms. Joanne, please call the roll.
Miss McKinney,
Aye.
Miss Campos,
Aye.
Miss Richards,
Aye.
Mr. Perry,
Aye.
Dr. Teray,
Aye.
Mr. McKinney,
Aye.
and Mr. Latham,
Aye.
all aye.
The motion passed. Congratulations to our board officers. President Latham, if you will take back over with the agenda.
All right, thanks everybody. It's like a really familiar group, so we'll move on to item number 4 on the agenda. We have a motion to approve the Metro Tech Center return to campus plan.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and I have a feeling at this point we're going to have plenty of discussion, so I will actually turn it over to Superintendent Collins to be able to explain to us what all it is that we just motioned to approve and what we need to have questions on. So.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I am going to, first, I appreciate the DIRT team being on here, so there's any questions, our district emergency response team will be available to ask those questions. I am going to give a quick presentation, if I may, Mr. Latham, and to be able to share my screen and do a short PowerPoint, if I may. And then we will be able to ask questions as we go along. This is our return to campus plan. And as we look at this plan and discuss, remember, we've been putting this information, press releases online so everyone can see. We've also asked people for their feedback. We've come back and met even this afternoon as late as 5 o'clock. We were making amendments and changes to the plan. So this is our return to campus plan. And we really wanted to give you the big nuggets of this plan. And that is safety is of the utmost concern for our faculty, our staff, our students, our customers. And what's great about the emergency response team is we have a great team with experience that have done this in business, has done this for Metro Tech for many years. And we truly have experts looking through this. We went through the guiding documents from the county CDC, from state CDC, from SDE as well, our State Department of Education, both from Oklahoma Career Tech, as well as from the state of Oklahoma State Department of Education. And so classes taught, we really want to look at format 1 and give that to your attention here in a second as I show that. These are going to possibly change, as you know, due to recommendations. So as CDC and the health department makes different changes, we will adjust our plan as so. But looking right now as we are where we're at, and we'll talk about this in terms of colors, and we're looking at a blended learning format. Hopefully at times we'll include face-to-face and we'll be remote. We'll start with format 1 to include some face-to-face and remote online learning supervised by our teachers, and computers, internet access. We appreciate then again the CARES Fund and being able to purchase 1,100 computers. We have an online management system, and we'll be able to do full-time and AM, PM sessions will be available. And we also have our information on metrotech.edu. We will have transportation. It will be very specific, and we'll look at that in more detail. So what does format 1 look like? Well, on August 10th, it would be a phased approach, and it would first be with our adult ed education would start. And then we have a flex schedule available as high schools move in. So as the high schools start back, so they would start with us. Really how this design is going to look, whether we're face-to-face or mainly online, will depend on the color code that we are in. And that is given to us by the school, by the State Department of Education on Fridays. That's released. And so we'll show you an example of that. But flex schedules are available. Directors have been talking to our teachers. Our teachers will all be on campus tomorrow. As the superintendent of the State Department of Education said, the expectation is for our teachers to be in the classroom and to be ready to teach in different formats. And so that's exactly what we have here. We have currently even going on sessions that are occurring. There are students that are needing to take various clinicals, and so that's going on. But it's very clear we're using the plan and keeping students safe, keeping customers safe, and keeping everyone safe as we do this. And really proud of our plan, and this really breaks it down of what the 3 formats are. And so right now, the way it sits, we would start with format number 1. But we also have these other 3 formats ready depending on the color code. And so this is an overall general that, again, you've seen this information. This has been given to everyone. We did streamline face coverings At first, we had that specifically saying cloth face coverings, and so we removed that to be face coverings. That's also then in line with other materials we've had and seen from others. I do want to make a point about safety for bus riders, and so Mr. Derek is on with us. Derek, if you wouldn't mind just kind of showing and sharing with us what it would look like with bus drivers, and then we'll pause after you speak and give board members thus far an opportunity to either comment or ask questions before we move further. Derek?
Yes. Our bus rider protocol is very simply the bus rider temperature will be taken before they board the bus. They're required to wear a face covering. Social distancing, which is a 6-foot separation from any other riders. If that is possible, we will enforce that. If it is not, we will do the very best that we can. That's the students are required to stay in their same seat until their final destination is reached. And after every route, the buses will be disinfected appropriately after every route, so that we can maintain the highest level of cleanliness and safety that we possibly can. And that's really it in a nutshell.
Mr. Latham, if it's okay, if there's any board members have any questions thus far throughout the presentation, I would be fine with questions or comments at this time, if there's any thus far.
So is there additional personnel required for the temperature testing, or does the bus driver perform that?
So that's a great question, Ms. McKinney, and that's a question that we asked. And so, Derek, if I say anything incorrectly, can you please help me, sir?
You bet.
So actually what was great is our bus drivers realized the need for this. And so they came together and discussed taking temperatures on the bus. We are prepared and ready, if needed, to have bus aides to assist with this. That's part B, and we're ready for that just in case. But at this time, the bus drivers would like to try to do it this way. We do foresee middle afternoon routes that there may be a few problems in terms of just the numbers. And so we are looking at that. Derek, please clean up any mess that I just made.
No, you're doing fine. Everything you said is exactly correct. We're the bus drivers feel like they wanted to take this responsibility on for their safety and for the safety of the other riders. And you're absolutely right, Mr. Collins. The morning bus routes are really not going to be an issue. It's the midday routes and the transfers where we have the higher numbers on the bus. And we may in fact at some point it may come down to we may have to add an assistant on the bus, and if we have to do that, we will do so.
And they're ready for that. The other thing I do want to say, Ms. McKinney, with your question, and again, the DIRT team, I'm asking your assistance if I said anything correctly, is that we're now going to be able to check temperatures at sites. If sites needed more thermometers, there was a process we had in place for them to order thermometers through our warehouse. The warehouse has those thermometers. They are ready to pass out as needed. Team, what did I miss?
I have a question. This
Yes,
is Linda. My question is, when they board the bus, is sanitizer being used, or are you're just using, the temperature gauge as a means to have the students board the bus? As well as, I think you touched on this, when students are being picked up in the evenings to go home, that's where you may have problems trying to get the temperatures taken so students can depart to go home. Did I understand that correctly?
Dr. Ture, I think, let me rephrase this. When I'm referring to the midday routes, I'm talking about the time between the AM class session and the PM class sessions.
Okay.
So like from 10:15 to 11:30 in that time frame.
Okay.
That's when we have the heaviest bus rider participation is in that time frame. So that's the time frame I was referring to as midday.
So to clarify your question and response, Dr. Torres, look like this. So even though they went to school at that high school, we are checking as they're getting on our bus.
Okay.
As it may have changed during the day. Derek, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
And that's thus the time that we may spend a little bit too much time on, and we may need to get an aid then for that. And then
I have a
after,
question.
yeah.
What are we going to do with students that have a high temperature?
So if they're at the school, it will be then the school's responsibility. If they're at the stop, it will be then the parents' responsibility, and we're informing parents of that.
Okay.
Again,
What's the alternative if you are unable to contact parents though?
so we do have something in place with that. Derek, did you want to explain that?
Well, Doctor, we recognize that it's not a matter of if, it's when this scenario you just described is going to happen. So we are going to have a vehicle that is designated for the transportation of a student who doesn't have a way home or can't get a hold of the parents, can't get off work, whatever the need may be. We will have a driver and a vehicle to transport that student from the school to their home residence.
And if I understand correctly too, Stephanie, help me if I'm wrong, but there will also be a place on each campus for a positive or for a person that has symptoms for them to wait until that time. Correct? Did I say that correctly, Dr. Bills?
That is correct.
I also have just a few brief questions. The first one, when it comes to the bus rides, typically how many students do we generally have at one point in time?
Well, that is a good question, Ms. Campos.
That is an excellent question that we're about to find out more.
Yeah. The average, we could have between 415 to 500 students utilizing the buses every day. And that changes on a weekly basis.
Okay.
But that's a normal year. So obviously this is not a normal year. And we are anticipating, because of the data that we've looked at from around the nation, that there's probably not going to be as many people riding the bus. But right now, I can't really give you a number or an average on that. We're just going to have to see what it looks like.
Sure. And I was just curious about what that overall number looks like on a normal setting, but that gives me an idea. And then my other questions, just so I understand this part, I know we're going to give them the direction to make sure that they have face coverings, but will we be offering those to students as well?
Well, I mean, yes, we have ordered masks for backstock, and we will supply. The bus drivers will have a backstock of masks. We really would prefer that the students would provide their own, but in that rare case, we're definitely going to give someone a mask if they don't have one. We want to get the students in school. We're not trying to, not include someone in the opportunity to come. So we will have that available.
Okay, so that just kind of helps me just in case, I know that the common thing right now is that, oops, along with their phone or charger or house keys, now an additional thing is face coverings. And I will say sometimes I have to have 2 or 3 in my car now just to make sure. So I was just curious to know that we would have some on hand, and whether that's at the front doors or at the bus stop, that everyone is equipped to have those available. And then with that, because these are just things that I've seen common trends of questions, so I just want to make sure we're ready for it. I don't anticipate the type of students that we have to have any of these problems or issues. However, I do just want to ask it. Is there a process of, if someone like a warning type of thing if they're not wanting to wear it, and then one, you provide it, and then two, they're still not wanting to? Is there some type of process that you guys have worked through on that, should it become something to be a
Yeah, so
conversation?
I would say, Ms. Campos, those are conversations happening right now as directors are just now meeting with their faculty and staff.
Okay,
So
perfect.
we can come back to you on some of those conversations right now. But those
Perfect.
conversations are just beginning as teachers have now are back on contract.
Okay, so the only thing I would say with that is, just as I've heard it, with city council meetings and all those things, we certainly are not here to wanting to reprimand these students for having to wear a mask. However, we are wanting to emphasize their health is priority. So I would just comment to that whenever those conversations are taking place, that, making sure that they're looking out for the more of emphasizing the health versus we just want to get you in trouble type of thing. If that
And I
makes
think I'm glad thank you for bringing that up. And let me tell you the conversations that we've had and that I've heard in that, and that's great. This is an expectation. Just like if you are in the welding shop, your gloves are an expectation. If you're in automobiles, safety goggles, things of that nature, that this becomes, and I think that's exactly what you were talking about, Ms. Campos, an excellent example there. Right now on my desk I have 3 masks, to make sure that I have one as I go out, and so it will become part of the routine and the expectation, not a got you in suspension. I feel like you do is that we've got great community and student support in this, and this is just at this time, in the time that we're in, is a safety device that we must be wearing.
Yeah, I appreciate
Especially
that.
at the level we're at right now and being orange level 1 that we're about to discuss.
I think that I might add, the adults, have we given any consideration to our adult learners who may be unhappy to be asked to wear a mask, and what our process is? Not that you need to explain those to me now, but I just think we need to be prepared for adults who also may not want to adhere to the mask
I would say
requirement.
our adult learners have been so kind to us, very gracious to us. I appreciate them coming in and following the guidelines that we've had in our nursing program and other programs where we've had to do some of that now, as we'll be going over here in a second. Some of those classes have picked back up and are going, and they're
Great.
doing an excellent job. So yes, ma'am. And again, that communication will be starting even ramping up in the next week as we continue to contact our students and introduce ourselves and talk to them and let them know of the safety and that all of us need to be responsible at this time.
Thanks, but I also should have included just the adults in general, employees as well.
Yes, ma'am. And so those discussions have occurred and continue to occur. It was so great to see. Approximately 90% of our faculty here on campus, off and on campus over the last 3 days. And they're following the procedures, coming in, being patient with us as we take the temperature. And I could not be more proud of the example that our faculty are showing in
Thank you.
following the guidelines.
That's great. That's good news.
Yes, ma'am. And we're going to fine tune those as we go, and we'll have a link that as you, that will be given as well, that they'll have a few questions that they'll be asked, and be able to answer those questions. And so that really goes to the next slide on slide number 4 here with health and hygiene requirements, as you're stating, that we want to make sure that you do not report the campus. If you have fatigue or shortness of breath or chills or cough or headaches or muscle aches or new loss of taste or smell, sore throat, congestion or runny nose, nausea or vomiting, diarrhea. And then while on campus, that you're staying safe. Inform your instructor, your teacher, the person that you report to. We need to wash our hands, wash them properly, avoid touching our eyes, nose, mouth, cover our mouth when we sneeze or cough. Avoid using other people's telephones, cell phones. We see that quite a bit, don't we? It's just we're going to have our actions be different in these times to be safe. Clean our work areas and computers each day. And again, just sitting here right next to me is I don't think you can see it because of my back screen, but I have some hand sanitizer right here that I'm keeping on my desk as I walk out and as I walk back in. So those are the things that we're learning to do. Other questions or comments to this point? Great questions.
Well, I just have a comment. There will be other things to come up that we haven't even thought of yet. So long as we're prepared to address those situations.
I appreciate you bringing that up, Ms. McKinney. That was our discussion this morning as we were finishing our conversation together. There's going to be something, as we know, there have been some positive cases in our area, in our community, and we'll continue to have positive cases. We have guidelines and processes in place. I believe in those guidelines and processes. Understand, we've really been practicing some of those guidelines since March 15. Other new guidelines we've been practicing in June, July, and even this week. We look at those 3 times a week in those processes and make changes as needed. Some changes were made today. And so the current status, I apologize, any other questions or comments? And so current status, adult, current students, 12-month programs, return to campus July 6th in person. And following the format, 10-month teachers reported July 27th, all teachers will be in their classroom on July 30th per State Department of Education. SD recommends districts use the county risk level color-coded map to guide the learning format. Again, we received that information on Friday. Orange level 1 is more than 14.39, but fewer than 25 cases per 100,000. That is the level that we are currently at. We have that information, again, posted on our website. Also sent those out to you through email. I appreciate our media department, as there is actually a COVID update tab now on our website. You click on that tab, all this information, including this document, is on that. And so we do suspect that we could go higher with just listening day to day. But we are at level 1 of orange, and we'll see what happens. Here's the map that we look at that we received. As you see, it was dated for Thursday. It was released on last Friday. So we're just showing you an example here of why we're in orange level 1 today. And again, being able to find out that information is on the State Department of Education website. Also sent you those links as well for you to be able to look at. And so high school students begin when their sending school starts in format 1. And so you see those that are enrolled, the number of students, as well as the current start date. We put a little asterisk by that, as there are some schools still discussing, contemplating changing a date, and we'll be ready and prepared for whatever date they adjust to. gives you kind of a synopsis too, Ms. Campos, of those numbers, and then putting those numbers together from Derek, then you are able to see that it has been in the past approximately 50% of our students then riding the bus.
Superintendent Collins,
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question, and it's regarding our childcare. Are we addressing that as part of this entire plan, or is there a separate plan for that? Or
They would fall under all this, of course, under a certain age, they do not fall under the face covering.
Mhm.
Dr. Bills, what have I missed on that?
Yes, Dr. Trey, maybe a clarifying question. Are you talking about our child care center community
Yes,
action?
now what are we working with them so that, I mean, they're on our property, so with our protocols, I mean, how involved are they? I just want us to be on the same page.
And Sarah Collins is online and she's been in contact with them, but they have closed the center since
Okay.
March. And
Okay.
they have actually vacated the area and will not
Be
begin.
back. Okay. Mhm.
Did I miss anything, Ms. Collins?
I have a question. When did they vacate? And why were we not apprised of that?
So my understanding, Ms. McKinney, is that their contract is year to year, and they opted not to renew June 30th. And I believe we were not notified until June 15th. Ms. Collins, are you online with us?
Mm. Mm.
I'm not seeing that she's on, Dr. Bills, but we can get clarification and we'll get that information to you, to the board. I'll follow up and we'll send that to you. Good questions.
Thank you. I'd appreciate it.
Yes.
Absolutely. And so start date for returning and new adult students, as we said, and then various dates for various programs that we offer. As you know, it's a plethora, and so it looks a little bit different in terms of dates and programs. And then the short-term adult full-time pre-enrollment is currently $390, starting August 10th. And then, like I said, we've been continuing and moving forward with various programs, including still doing virtual training. And so we're grateful for that. And 1,543 employees trained virtually. And then in client site, on site, then also will begin August 10th. So all of our programs are continuing to move. As I've been saying on the video, Metro Tech is open for business, and we're working to support our students, community, faculty, and staff on a daily basis. And that's our job, is to support, continue to learn, and continue to grow. Questions and comments?
I have just a couple more questions, as you know, and I'm sure you're going to be working through these, but I just want to go ahead and ask them while we're on this topic.
Absolutely.
I'm sure that we're going to have signs on the front doors or as entrances. I'm not sure if it's something that we would be able to do in more than one language, if there's something that, you know, any other person tries to walk in the building that maybe is not familiar with the plan, that they could easily see that in both maybe English, Spanish, or whatever other language is needed. That's one. And then I know that we have some services for financial assistance or other situations that students may have as we see the new school year, but I'd love to just make sure that we're thinking of that as we move forward. If we do hear of a student in a situation where maybe they can't pay for rent or something of that nature. I know it's higher than usual with COVID. So even the ones that maybe wouldn't typically ask for assistance may be in that situation. So I'd love to see if we have something, that already is available where it could be easily accessible for more students to see that. Should they need some help, where to contact or who to contact. I know there's a lot of talk about that, but not sure how much resources we have available. I just wanted to address that is something we may see an impact of it increasing a little bit more this year, as well as student and adult. We may see that with childcare. Maybe they don't have someone at home to take care of their kids. So that was another one. And then I have one last one before. The only other one I was thinking of I saw in the plan was, will we typically follow the same type of child nutrition, food type of system that Oklahoma City Public Schools would do? I'm not sure what we typically have available for day or evening students, but I'm just interested to see what that would look like if we're changing any protocols for that of how we offer it, in this situation.
So I'll have to have the team help me a little bit, but here's what I've seen. We have been cautious about those kitchen areas, and I believe they're limited in number, and we have taken out some tables and chairs where people used to sit, as we do not need to be congregating in those. And then I believe the vending machines are up and running for those that use those in the afternoon and evening. What have I missed, Dr. Bills or Derek, that has more knowledge of that than I do?
Thanks, Ms. Campos. Yes, I think the thing to remember is that our students are part-time students, and their sending school typically feeds them before they arrive to Metro Tech. We have had vending machines in the past. We also work with our partner schools to ensure that they can bring their lunch or their breakfast. They do a snack, I believe, at some of the sending schools in the morning. So we really have not been taking ownership of the food portion. We've relied on the sending schools.
Great. I just wanted to get an idea just to make sure that we're fully providing all those details. I know there's some that are running to, get to Metro Tech for a course, and, they may have to just plan better or bring their own little individual packed snacks or whatnot instead of getting up or trying to, have more interactions or coming together as groups to eat. So just wanted to get an idea, but thank you.
Sure, you bet.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I would like to add, in reference to assisting with financial difficulties, the foundation in the past has been able to help a number of students with rent,
And we've been in contact
problems, and whatever their needs happen to be.
We've been in contact with the foundation. Of course, we have, Valerie with community outreach. We also have, a great relationship with the Lynn Institute. We're doing something again this weekend with the farmers market. We've done and passed out food. And so, yes, thank you for those reminders of how we need to remember we're in difficult times and situations. Not only do we need to be empathetic, but we need to be ready to support our community in every way that we can. We can follow up and be sure that we do have availability and supports in place. Also, I'm not sure if we have, as kind of was requested, a link or a place to call if that's on there. We will verify that there is a place online for the various situations that we just discussed. If you find yourself in that situation, a number and email to contact, and we can ensure that we have that ready. Thank you for those reminders.
Okay, and if I may add, we also have a clothes closet. I don't know how active it is and what supplies are available at this time, but I would like for us to check into that for those who need wearing apparel sometimes. So.
Yes, ma'am, and may even need that more as we get into the winter months.
Yeah, and to Miss McKinney's point, I think I guess if we already have it, great, but just again to have a reminder of here's some of the services and resources that you may be able to easily access, as well as, if they're having some type of mental health situation, just everything that we may encounter that is completely different than what we have been exposed to in the past. And that way it's easy for not only the students, but also our staff to easily have it available should they have a situation that they have to encounter.
And we did get confirmation, thank you, Randa, that student resources listed on the COVID tab, as well as we have CARES funds for assistance. So that is there. So we appreciate that. And of course, we're striving to do our best and to support our community. And so we are mailing all new students the bandanas to welcome to campus. So we are active in doing some of those reminders. So thank you for reminders as we move together to support our students and community. That completes the presentation. Are there any other comments? I do want to say before any final comments that just can't thank our team enough. They're meeting on average 2 hours on Monday, 2 hours on Wednesday, and 2 hours on Friday to go through the scenarios. Many of the scenarios that you asked and discussed today are some of the same scenarios and questions that we're asking. Appreciate Sarah and Randa and that work that they've been doing with our site directors, and then our site directors getting that information. Chief officers are trying our best to meet once a week right now, and then to meet with our directors together once a week. So that's kind of the communication plan that we have right now to assist in relaying this information. Thank you for your patience and for your time as we work through this together.
Aaron, I've got a question for you. You said we were going to receive some computers, and can you tell me who actually will receive those, and will they be for their personal use, or will they turn them in at the end of the school year? Give me a little color on that.
Yeah, so about 1,100 computers. We had to purchase some computers with certain standards, certain megabytes and kilobytes and things like that to be able to run certain operating systems and certain technical things that are needed, software used for various programs. Randa, would you mind maybe sharing some, or Sarah to share some of that I'm missing? And they are working closely with the site directors. Site directors are working close with the teachers, and that's what we're about to do over the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
Is get equipment out to the right students, to the right staff, and to be able to use that. Randa, what did I miss?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So yes, we have received most of the new computers in. So we are actually hiring temporary IT techs right now. So if you know of any that needs some extra money or or a little part-time gig, then send them to HR. So to facilitate getting 1,100 devices re-imaged and imaged and ready to go for our students. So those are Chromebooks, Macs, laptops that can run our high-powered software that we have for some of our programs. So we are working through that, and then current devices that are in the classrooms are being re-imaged and prepared to send home to students, so we can get rolling. And then if there are any students who do not have internet access at home, we have hotspots that can be checked out for them to utilize as well.
Yes.
Thank you for that reminder, Randa. I forgot about that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then, Mr. Latham, if I may, I would like to also open it up to the emergency response team to see if I missed anything that they may want to clarify or state, if that's okay. And I do want to thank Dr. Bills for chairing this very important committee for us. Is that okay to ask for their anything that they have, Mr. Latham?
Absolutely.
Melanie or anyone that's online that may want to add something that I missed or just to comment on anything?
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Collins. Good evening, board. I do want to address quickly a question that Ms. Campos posed earlier, and I believe Ms. Campos posed it, but it was in relationship to the use of hand sanitizers on the bus. Oh, Ms. McKinney, I'm sorry. Yes, that was your question. Forgive me. I was rapidly noting down questions so I could kind of help fill them. But yes, hand sanitizer materials will be available for bus riders and also in classrooms and common areas and buildings. Derek Lawless and his team have done a fantastic job of sourcing and acquiring all of those sanitizers. And those are still being put in place, but that's going to be a continuous flow of 60% alcohol all over the district.
Melanie, it was Linda Teray that asked that question.
I'm sorry. I'm getting writer's cramp writing down all the questions. Sorry about that.
No problem. I just wanted to make sure you understood.
I asked about the checking.
I'm taking notes too, Melanie, so I understand.
I think we had so many questions.
Yes.
Mhm.
It's great. It's
But
good.
thank you for your response, Melanie. Here, they will have it as they board the bus. Thank you.
Certainly. And the other thing that I wanted to let you all know is that with the guidance continually tends to change from the CDC. And we want to make sure that we all are on the same page, but the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention are very sharply focused right now on potential exposure in a school setting, not just for little tiny children, but also all the way through adult learners and research institutions. So we will continue to look at that and update as we go. And this is going to be a continual evaluation process, as Mr. Collins mentioned, and we do not sleep. So we're going to continue to stay on top of it and face any new challenges as they arise.
Any other comments, Dr. Bills?
No, I think you covered it. I do want to commend our media and marketing team for really staying on top of getting our information out as quickly as possible. That moving information flowing from the team all the way to our website has been an incredible feat for that group. So appreciate Cindy and her group and Alan and Keo.
Yeah, the information that was presented it looked really good too. So great job.
As
And
we said, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to add, I read an excellent article from the National School Board Journal, The Opening Realities, and I just want you to know, you all have touched on almost every point that they emphasized regarding reopening from the campus to the buses to the school sites. And so I commend the staff for the fine work. And it is going to be a work in progress, as I realize it changes from day to day. So thank you, Superintendent and the staff. That article was an excellent one if you haven't seen it.
I'll have to look that up. Thanks for sharing that information.
Well, for me personally, at this juncture, I'm feeling very comfortable with what we've accomplished thus far. And I know there's more work to be done in the future, but I personally am feeling very comfortable at this point.
Well, thank you for
Good job.
sharing. And like we said on Friday, I can't even tell you how many amendments. Thursday we had 4 changes, and literally I believe it ended up being 4 changes in 4 hours. And so we were trying to get the new information out. So we just appreciate the partnerships that we have with our community, with our county, with our state, that we can get these changes quickly, and then our marketing department getting this information out. If there's nothing else, I'll give it back over to Mr. Latham. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dr. Troy.
No, it can wait. Thank you.
Great. And I'll echo what everyone else has said, that I'm very impressed with the plan. And Dr. Ture, I also saw that article, and I was checking the boxes myself over here. As
Okay.
you and I are on the same page there. So at that point, we already have a motion and a second. So we will go ahead and take a vote to approve the Metro Technology Center's return to campus plan. Joanne, will you call the roll?
Ms. Richards? Miss Richards?
Aye.
Miss McKinney?
Aye.
Mr. Perry?
Aye.
Dr. Ture?
Aye.
Mr. McKinney?
Aye, subject to change.
Ms. Campos?
Aye.
And Mr. Latham?
Aye.
All aye.
All right, motion carries. We'll move on to item number 5. I'll turn it back over to Superintendent Collins to explain this real quickly, and then we can go ahead and get the motion.
So this was, as you've probably seen this language as you're checking off the boxes. The language is to delegate authority to the superintendent to make any all necessary adjustments if and as needed within the guidelines of the CDC, the local and state, to any aspect of the 2021 school year in response to the constantly changing variables of COVID-19 pandemic, to protect the best interests of students and staff. And so that would be the recommendation for you to have a motion discussion and then vote to approve that.
So
I
moved.
move approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? And I'll start by just saying, I know it's not listed verbatim in there, but I assume that any amendment would be sent out to the board so that we're notified of such things.
Absolutely, would be adjusted in the plan, sir.
Okay, great. Any other discussion? All right, seeing none, Joanne, will you call the roll?
Mr. Perry?
Aye.
Dr. Ture?
Aye.
Ms. Richards?
Aye.
Miss McKinney? Miss McKinney?
Aye.
Ms. Campos?
Aye.
Mr. McKinney?
Aye.
And Mr. Latham?
Aye.
All aye.
Item 5 carries. We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Adjourned.
Got 5 motions to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second, Linda Ture.
All right. Joanne, will you call the roll?
Dr. Ture?
Aye.
Ms. Richards?
Aye.
Miss McKinney?
Aye.
Ms. Campos?
Aye.
Mr. McKinney?
Aye.
Mr. Perry?
Aye.
And Mr. Latham?
Aye.
All aye.
We're adjourned.
Thank you.
See y'all.